Okay, welcome back, dear viewers. Today I'm going to talk about the Village of Hommlet, the classic Gary Gygax module that I believe plenty of ink has been spilled talking and discussing this adventure module. So I hope what I offer today is new or at least useful to you. Um, as you know, I've been running this module and the Temple of Elemental Evil, uh, using Lamentations of the Flame Princess uh, game engine. So hopefully, what I say today will give you some insight into how the game system itself and this module have been sort of interacting with the sensibilities that Lamentations of the Flame Princess brings to the table. Um, this is the book I'm actually using. The green cover I'm using as sort of the image because I'm teasing out the Temple of Elemental Evil stuff because the players haven't gotten there yet, and that'll be a whole separate video. Um, I do want to give a quick shout out to my boy Scott. As a birthday present, he actually hunted down a copy of the green cover, a printing from way back in the day, and he bought it for me. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'll probably put it in a case and hang it on my wall or something. But it was very nice of him. But this is what I've been using. This gray book, big campaign book, contains all kinds of background information for Greyhawk, including the deities, demigods, and some of the other stuff. I didn't use that. I'm not using that because I'm not a, no offense to anybody, but I'm not a fan of Greyhawk. It might make me a heretic, but I'm just not. Um, I like dark fantasy, and Lamentations of the Flame Princess certainly helps me achieve that dark fantasy goal. And I'm just using my own little homebrew world that I place the Village of Hommlet and the Temple of Elemental Evil in. So basically, though, this is your standard, you know, opening module, your opening uh, game, first session module. It's pretty standard. This may have set the standard. It functions. Village of Hommlet functions as a home base for the players. It also contains an adventure location known as the Moat House for your players to explore. I'll cover that in a second video. And it also introduces the Greyhawk setting and then provides gaming advice for novice DMs, referees, and GMs. So it's useful in that regard alone. Um, I think for most of us, the Village of Hommlet is probably old hat. But if you're a new player, especially into OSR gaming, this is a good module to pick up. Um, as a home base, it has just about everything that the players are going to need. I would say Gygax went into quite a bit of detail. Um, I'm comparing it to Threshold, which is a village from the Mystara setting, um, and that is like, I don't even think there's much said about Threshold. Hamlet feels like a thriving metropolis compared to it, even though it's the size of an evil village. There is a lot packed into the Village of Hommlet to the point where the village can be its own adventure site in and of itself. Um, Now, I don't want to get into critique or commentary too soon, but I think how you handle a village adventure site is really dependent upon your style as a GM and what interests your players. If you've been watching my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign, my players really haven't been all that interested in interacting with the town. Totally fine. That's what they want to do. Though, when I first looked at this, I said, oh, I got to make sure I have names for the carpenter, names for the weaver. I got to make sure I have all this stuff prepped and ready to go, just in case. I've been accused of over prepping though, so you know, you do you. Uh, but yeah, here's a map of the village. I don't know if you can see it because it's a little small on the screen, but uh, the as you can see, every single building is numbered, labeled, and Gary Gygax gives you information in each one of those buildings. Um, there's 33 entries just for the village, and each entry gives you a little bit more information about who's in there. There are four, I guess, important sites to the village: the Welcome Wench, the Traders Establishment, Church of St. Cuthbert, and the Guard Tower. Um, there'll be separate maps for those places with a little bit more information on what's inside. But generally speaking, each entry will just say, "Hey, this is an old farmhouse or a well-built stone home," and give you a brief description of who's inside, what they do, and what kind of treasure is in the house. You can see here, I mean, there is everything you need. And what's interesting, my players have been indirectly utilizing this. I mean, they've been talking to the stonemason to help build walls and doors at the moat house now that they've taken it over. Same thing with the carpenter. They've hired the carpenter to build a war wagon, for crying out loud. They've been going to the teamster to basically set up a sort of smuggling ring to get around the trading post guys, Grimog and Rano Stavel. So, I mean, it was daunting at first for me when I first read this. And I was like, what do I do with all this? Well, the players are telling me what to do with all this. And I'm glad I put in the little extra work to make sure I had names and I knew, their attitudes towards certain factions, because I like faction play. But in some respects, I didn't necessarily have to. So again, depending on your game master style, you might all you might need is just a quick name generator to keep behind your DM screen. So if the players do decide to go to House 12 and talk to the farmer there, you can quickly roll up a name. You might not need to have done all the background work that I did, but I'm type A, and that's just what I do, I guess. But there are factions, which I thought was really cool when I read it at first, because there's a lot of role-playing opportunities here. The nameless NPCs in the various farmhouses, aside from providing descriptions of the treasure there, whether they're part of the militia, it'll also say whether they're members of the new faith, St. Cuthbert, which is a deity from Greyhawk, or the old faith, these druidic faiths, right? Then there's this mercenary company that set up shop in the guard tower. Byrne, who's this very powerful magic user, Rufus, and his badgers. That's the name of the mercenary company, and they're protecting the town. And then you have Rano Stavel and Grimog, who run the trading post, and they're allied with the temple, and so they're not very nice guys. And there's others in the town that are allied with the temple. It's kind of spying on the town. But the mayor's entry, who's nameless, strangely enough, suggested the factions in Hommlet kind of get along, and there's like this, I guess, council where they get together and chat about what to do with the town. You have Inn of the Welcome Wench mapped out. Osler runs the inn. You have an exhaustive list of food and drink, which I like if you're into world building. It gives you an idea of what's available and helps immerse the players into the world a bit. Again, some people may not feel they need that level of detail. That's going to be up to you as a game master and your personal style. There's NPCs here that can join the party. They're actually statted with class lists, the magic users, rogues, fighters. For the purpose of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, there's some rules about hiring adventurers and retainers, and the players at first level through the LOTFP lens may not be able to actually do it unless there's some really good role playing or something. My players haven't been interested in hiring anybody specific yet. Um, these NPCs do have some magic items on them. I took them out. Sorry, guys. For me, Lamentations is about low magic, and when you do find some magic item, it's got to be kind of scary. That's why the stuff they have found, uh, they've been very hesitant to use. We did see the blood drinking sword that our halfling like to use, but yeah, there's one NPC in particular named Elmo who carries a +2 dagger. Um, it seems kind of powerful for a low level, first level sort of adventure, but there it is. Again, I took it out. I took it out. Okay. The Church of St. Cuthbert's also mapped. It gives you some stuff to do if you really like to explore, but there's not much to it. It's not like it's riddled with traps. I mean, the main defense will be Calmer and Turjan. I use the images from my campaign here, by the way, as they become kind of important NPCs for the party. But yeah, there's not a whole lot here, but it is presented in case you need it. Similarly with the guard tower, again, I used images from my campaign, but there's 16 mercenaries, and then you have Rufus and Byrne. Byrne is lawful good in the Greyhawk version. In mine, he's not, because he's a magic user, so he can't be. He's got to be chaotic. So, but yeah, that's it. You get these maps, and including a map of the traders' establishment, which I thought was interesting because every potential product is placed at one of those numbers, and then there's a percentage to use to differ from the player's handbook for my purposes, because I didn't want to be doing math and flipping through books in the middle of gameplay. I just did a blanket 20% increase. Mainly because Ranos, Davil, and Gramag are greedy and not nice guys. They are allied with the temple, and it is implied they have spies in Hommlet. And if you read through the entries, you will see that there are others who are, working to keep tabs on things. But that's not just them either. There's other faction. The other factions have their eyes on what's going on in Hommlet as well, but it's just not very pronounced. I do want to say Gramag and Ranos Davil have become my favorite villains to run in my 30 years of gaming. I've never seen merchants cause so much strife for players in my life, and it's been I love it. I just love using them. They're great. So just kind of turning to the design of the game, of the module and the writing. I'm going to use the term high Gygaxian. I see that all over the place. It's verbose. There's all kinds of, I could have, edited some of the explanations probably. I know there's practically a page-long read-aloud text. I would not use that. It would just put people to sleep. But maybe highlight portions that you like and use that, maybe, while describing the Village of Hommlet when the players first arrive or whatever. Again, you might want to have a name generator handy for the nameless NPCs when the players decide to talk to the Weaver, talk to the Brewmeister, talk to the Stonemason, or just put the work in ahead of time, like I did. It's up to you. I will say this. At first glance, I was a bit overwhelmed by the information, and I think that is due to a difference in old school game design and some of the more new school techniques used, where it's more minimalist. And I didn't really know what to do with it other than just do my best to memorize what I could and keep the book handy with page tabs in case something came up. But then I heard this rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard a rumor that James Radji ran this, and his group of players actually tried to raid the town. And when you think about it, thanks to the detail provided by Gary Gygax, Radji knew exactly what would be in farmhouse number 1. How many children would be there, whether or not Farmer Bob was a second level fighter or not, what weapons he had, and what treasure the players were going to find. You wouldn't need to turn to some sort of treasure generator or an encounter generator or something. It was all there at your fingertips, ready to go. Do you need all these maps? Well, yes, for the same reasons we have stats for Farmer Bob. You don't know what your players are going to do, where the campaign's going to take the players. They may want to try to steal something from the trading post or the church. I think, that apocryphal story of James Radji's group, rumor or no, kind of provides insight onto why this detail was put into this module. There is a lot that could happen, and it's all there for you when you're ready. And I'll just use this as a quick aside, a defense for those who say I over prep. This is why I over prep. I never know what's going to happen, and I want to have the information there. I'd rather write 7, 8, 9 pages of text on a Word document where I only use for the session, use like 1 or 2 pages, but I have those other 5 to 7 pages ready in the event that I need it. So I think the maps are important, and in retrospect, now that I've actually played the Village of Hommlet, I'm very happy Gary Gygax put that information into this module. So, placing the Village of Hommlet with only a day's journey to the Moat House, the players everything they need to restock and retool, and in the case of my players, have some wild things built. I did not place the Village of Hommlet within a day's ride of the Moat House. I put it like about a week away. The reason why I did that is because I knew I was going to have experienced players, and I wanted to up the challenge level a little bit. In retrospect, a week may be a bit long, but like I said, I wanted a challenge, and I think I provided it, and they've risen to the occasion beautifully. I do have I'm going to say a slight complaint. The Moat House is sort of the adventure site for first level characters that are starting at the Village of Hommlet. Why are they going to go there other than they're, adventurers who want to, get some treasure and kill monsters? I mean, there are NPCs that they could bump into at the end of the Welcome Wench that might suggest, hey, let's go to the Moat House. But there really isn't anything connecting the village to the Moat House. At least nothing that jumps out at you. There is a missing canoness, Yaday, but she doesn't pop up until Nulb, the village of Nulb, which is in the next set of this adventure. This is in the Temple of Elemental Evil. So the Moat House just kind of feels there. In a similar way that the Keep in the red box set is just kind of there as an adventure site. Just get started on rolling dice and killing goblins. I don't know if any of you have the old red box set, but there's this little starter adventure that is a Keep. I like it. I would use it again, but you kind of have to come up with a reason why you have to go there. And then the Moat House sort of feels like that too. I wish the factions could have been developed a bit more, but presumably Gygax may have been more concerned about providing just options for all players rather than create conspiracy and faction play. Again, I have experienced players, and the fact I just like factions. I like having people at odds with each other. So I heightened that. If you've been watching, what I've been doing is really not in the book. Okay, that's something I've added. But when you think about it, there's a lot of drama that could spring forth from the village. You got the Church of St. Cuthbert, which is lawful good. The Druid is neutral, and then you got these cultists who are chaotic evil. There's militia. Each farmer entry, by the way, will tell you if they're part of the militia. But then you have this mercenary band led by a wizard who just decided to set up shop and build a keep. you would think that might cause some consternation. Now, granted, Byrne and Rufus are good guys, and they're using their mercenary band to kind of protect the town in conjunction with the militia. But still, you know, I mean, there'd be taxes, right? They'd be taxing the town to help keep up their weapons in good order as they're building their keep, you know. And then when you add adventurers into the mix, things are there's a potential for a powder keg, and that's kind of what I decided to go with this module. So, but yeah, it's there for your use, and take it or leave it. I guess it was Gygax's sort of opinion on it. I think the concept of adventuring in a village isn't explored all that often. I know looking at Free League's The Forbidden Lands, their random adventure site generator has a village as like a potential for adventure. I think Hommlet is a great place to start. Again, there's some factions. Um, there's NPCs. There's all kinds of stuff to do if they want to, and with a little tinkering, you can make Hommlet come to life. Again, I go back to like what your standard starting villages are in most homebrew games that I've been in. Some of the Threshold, again, all due respect to Mystara, just seem kind of bland. Hommlet really does feel alive. What I've done, though, that's a little different, is I've taken the magic items out and I created division amongst the factions, as I mentioned. And, of course, I've allowed for guns. Lots of guns. But yeah, so I think this is a neat village to adventure in. Yeah, you could spend quite a few sessions, I think, just exploring the village if you really wanted to. Oop, that was my last slide. So anyway, I'm going to do, next week, I'm going to start talking about the Moat House. And then move on to the next video. I don't know. So I hope you liked it. For those new to my channel and you've made it this far, what I do is I play games, I record myself playing these games, and then I talk about them. The reason being is while flip-through reviews can be helpful, I think there's a stark difference between what you read and how it comes out during play. And while you may love the writing and the art in a book, it might not be all that great when you play it. So that's what this is about. That's what I'm trying to do here. If you like actual plays, I do those too. I have Lamentations of the Flame Princess campaign using Temple of Elemental Evil in this module. So anyway, hit like and subscribe, bell icon, yada yada yada, and stay tuned for other stuff because it's coming down eventually. February is going to be a slow month for me though. Work has me very busy. But in any event, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.